This is a trade recap for Friday, April 24th, 2026. The last day for our paper trading data gathering for the study. And on to, again, back to normal next week. And from there, we'll be picking up where we left off with one and done and phase four, which is our little exercise in, you know, building discipline, consistency, trading to trade well, and those points. Key point of focus on those, or for now and like the past week or so, has been entry timing or execution timing, both entries and exits. So that's something I'm going to continue to really hone in on going into the future until it's really where I want it to be. So, with that being said, if you're new or struggling with day trading and you need that help, the only thing I can do is give you a pretty basic recommendation, and that is to get a coach. Myself personally, I use Pat Mitchell. He runs a service called tricktrades.com. It is an education service. And if you are trying to build yourself into a professional level trader, he is the one you want to be learning from. He proves day in, day out. He knows exactly what he's doing. His strategy works. His trade plans work. His approach works. And what you need to do to get to that point. He's been at this for over a decade now. You can go over and check out the website at tricktrades.com, read up about his past, what he offers, what the service is, what the service isn't. It's not an alert service, it's not a shadowing service. Those things don't work anyway. So we trade again in a whole different way than probably 99.9% of the other quote unquote services out there. If you'd like a sample of the information he puts out there, you can jump over to his YouTube page. You'll find over 1,700 videos there. Like I said, he's been at this for over a decade. And there's an entire library of information. You'll just have to crawl through the videos and pull out the information, put the pieces together yourself. And yeah, good luck with that. That's one hell of an undertaking. If you're up for it, I guess all the power to you. I'd simply recommend joining the service and learning directly from the man himself. Because like I said before, he knows exactly what he is doing. And if you truly are interested, check the description below. There are a couple links to the memberships. Save a little bit of money on the first month. And again, you can see if it jives with what you're looking for. If not, all good. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and switch over to this morning's recording. If you are new here, lay the land real quick. We only trade SPY and Qs, just those two. This top row is SPY, bottom row is Qs. These charts here on the left are the daily charts. Charts in the middle are the 1 minute intraday chart, and I keep my order execution here on the right. These blue levels you see plotted, these are the levels chosen by Pat starting the night before and then refining the morning of a trade session. And then he builds a trade plan around these levels. Once these levels are set, they do not move for any reason. They're static. If you're moving your levels after the market opens, after you've developed your trade plan, your trade plan is more or less invalid at that point. So, again, that's kind of the right approach to how to do a trade plan. Now, because of where we were opening up, Qs was gapping above its all-time high. SPY was still within this range. We really only wanted Qs short. Or at least favoring Qs short, say over a long, considering we're at the top of the range. But again, we both have Pat always picks again levels to give both directions, long or short. That way, whatever triggers first, that's what you execute off of. Because of that, every day there will be an opportunity, generally in both directions, for either a long or a short. Just matters which triggers first. So it's about 10 seconds before the open. SPY was, again, we were watching SPY closer than we were Qs. So let's go ahead and get into it. And this was one of those mornings where we kind of opened up and how we played around. Yeah, it took a little bit of patience. Um, and oddly, the trade that did end up triggering was the kind of the less favorable one. Um, and that was the Q's long, simply because of, again, how high up we are. We're extended. Again, generally favoring the short, but you take the first one that triggers, regardless of the direction. That way, again, there's typically multiple opportunities a day, but you only time you miss an opportunity is when you don't take it. So because it did take a little while to open up or get to into a level, I will step forward into this so you can kind of see how things play. Just go ahead and drawing out some levels of interest with those yellow lines, as you've seen before, if you've seen any of my other videos. But as you can see, we're kind of just screwing around between the two levels. And it took us a little while to actually, again, get into it. And sometimes that's the thing. It's like you have to do the easiest thing possible. Nothing. Just literally sit there, do nothing. That tells us all the times, like, what's the easiest thing to do? Nothing. Just sit there, wait, watch, be patient, be disciplined. You don't have to jump into the trade on the first, on the opening candle. That's what you're doing. And again, you're just gambling. Unless, again, it truly triggers in the appropriate fashion. As you can see, we're about 15 minutes in and we still haven't tested a level, which was interesting because typically we're done at this point, and that's the weird thing about these days. It kind of serves as a reminder to us of like how well Pat's strategy and his trade plans work. Is just, again, sometimes we are just waiting for them to trigger, and sometimes the market will do these things, especially again around all time highs. It's just like, okay. So you can see again, SPY came down a little bit and then just went sideways. Qs just basically went sideways the entire morning until it finally kind of started putting in a little bit of a direction. We're starting to come down a little bit. So now it's like, okay, now I might actually get it. Actually, again, I want to say, I think I said Qs was the one that triggered long. I actually meant to say SPY. So there we end with SPY with one because of the distance. We're at all time highs. It's a Friday. Size down a little bit to be cautious. So I went in with just one, saving the rest of them for the actual level itself if we got it. So in with one, waiting to see what happens. Q still has room to come down. SPY still has room to come down. Let's see what we get. And unfortunately, or not, well, I mean, it's not unfortunately, but it's one thing where sometimes it just doesn't happen. You get that reaction. You pay into where you should, into that target. If you know where the target is, okay, should be pretty apparent where that is. But that's sometimes all you get. So only one contract, unfortunately. Or I keep saying unfortunately when it's really not unfortunately. It was a successful trade. It worked beautifully. And yeah, that was that. And as you can see, again, kind of continued to come up a little bit higher. But yeah, jump into the actual charts themselves so you can actually take a look at that. Let's get scrolled over. So as you can see, zoomed in, kind of came down into the level, reacted, came up, came back down, held, pushed a little bit higher, and that was basically it. Um, the only oddity, again, about the price action this morning was the simple fact that it was a little stiff, went sideways. Again, it seemed like the market wasn't really sure what it wanted to do. So it was a Friday, the geopolitics that are kind of going on and things like that, where it's like, okay, one's kind of waiting on the other to see ultimately what happens or what it wants to do, what levels it wants to test, break, things like that, hold. And yeah, but all in all, straightforward morning. Plans worked beautifully as they do. Again, and going by the math, 97 plus percent of the time. So I don't know what more you could really wish for on that one. I'm trying to think of anything else. There's no real oddities. this morning, other than, like I said, the price action. Uh, and then just again some, I guess, points that Pat was making that was interesting. And again, I always like when he's kind of going over this stuff, and it has to do with trading, and it also doesn't. They say that this is the hardest job in the world, and it's only as hard as you make it. And what I mean by that is that once you, again, you're gonna have those hurdles when you're in the beginning, when you're still learning the kind of the ropes and everything. But kind of once you've been doing this for a while, it actually isn't difficult. And that was something Pat was talking about. Like, this truly isn't difficult. Once you have yourself sorted out, you have the technical knowledge and the mechanics, you understand that, you know what you're doing in terms of technical analysis. And again, you have all your ducks in a row more or less. It becomes actually fairly easy. But you got to put in the time and effort and that investment into getting to that point. And part of that is screen time with a live account, making the mistakes, understanding what the mistake was, why it was made, what to do to correct it, and actually doing the correction. And that was something that I know I struggled with for a very, very long time. And it's probably why, for the say, prior to doing like rejoining the service and doing the size up program, and I pretty much went nowhere in terms of wins, losses, to the point where probably more, again, losses than wins if I were to sit down and really do the math on all that. So again, made plenty of mistakes, didn't, and doing those mistakes, the probably the biggest thing I would say in hindsight, or I guess as reflection, is I never put in the time, the appropriate level of time and effort to truly understand those mistakes, why I was making them, and how to fix them. And since being back with the service coming up on 2 years now, I can say that that has made a that is the difference, a massive difference. And watching Pat again, just watch him trade like day in and day out for again 2 years now. It's one of those things where for him it is easy, incredibly easy, and that's kind of the point me, everyone wants to kind of strive to, where they can do this to that degree of accuracy, completely calm, collected, with the confidence to where this is not the hardest profession in the world. In fact, it's damn near easy, day in, day out. But it's not going to be like that day one. And that's the thing that probably, again, made people expect it to not be that way. Uh, or they expect it to always be hard, when in reality, it's just the time. You got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort. You really have to educate yourself. You have to figure out how to solve these problems. And I would say probably one of the largest advantages I have, and as well as all the other members have, and Pat has pointed this out multiple times, is we have Pat. We have someone who has went out on their own, figured all this out, put all the pieces together, and then chose to share it with people. And I don't think there's necessarily a level of, one, understanding, and two, appreciation for what that takes. Because if I was in his shoes, I mean, hell, I probably would have. Would I be running an education service? No, I'd be just living my life. Like, and that's the truth. I mean, it's one of those things where he chose to put this out there, and I'm grateful. I'm sure every other member that truly, again, understands what he is giving you and giving us access to also appreciates it on that same level, because There is no one that's better than this, and he proves that day in, day out, and it's just one of those things I find myself asking, "What did I do versus what Pat did in any trading session? And then what do I need to adjust on my end to be more in alignment with how he approaches this, and how does he do it?" Because he is kind of the model that, again, where we want to be, and that is just a day in, day out thing. It is, again, requires a serious amount of honesty and reflection with yourself. And I would want to say that there probably are people out there that just won't get it, or that will not want to make those levels of commitment and put in that level of work to get themselves sorted out. And ultimately, they don't go anywhere. And it's just one of those things where you can take what is perceivably at the beginning one of the hardest professions, as they like to say, in the world, and make it one of the easiest. The question is, are you going to put in the time and the effort to get there? And that's something that I do ask myself. And some days it's like, again, you think you're giving 100%, as Pat would say, but are you really? I mean, there are times where it's like, I can honestly say that, yeah, I am. Other times I can definitely, again, look back and be like, no, you didn't. So just some food for thought on this Friday. I know it's the end of the week, but just some things to consider, especially if you're doing a solo. If you need help, again, there is someone that can help you. Yes, it does it cost money? Yeah, I mean, it's not, again, the reason why that paywall is there is exactly that, paywall. One, you're taking up Pat's time, so he should be compensated for that. Two, it's to keep the riffraff out, because this is a professional service. This isn't some little rinky dink Discord room where there's nothing but internet spurgs and noise. So if you want to do this on a professional level, then you need to be part of a professional service to learn how to do it that way. And this isn't necessarily me pumping the service or, again, promoting it or whatever you want to call it. I just know it has worked for me, and the opportunity to work for others is out there. You just have to take it. Whether or not you do, again, that's totally up to you. But to pass up an opportunity to where you can be your own boss, make more money than you know you've ever probably made in your life. Maybe not. I mean, depends. Some people will be successful at this. Some people will be averagely successful at this, which is around, again, 100 to 120,000 a year. Which, again, given, say, take the U.S. for example, what the average household income is, it's like, okay, that's still not bad. Um, but again, you're only doing, again, at that point in time, that's truly, again, where you peak out. The only thing you're doing is a couple hours worth of work in the morning. So maybe a little bit, again, half an hour at night, a couple hours in the morning, tops. Still, for making six figures, low six figures, or breaking into six figures, that's still, that's life changing. It really is. But yeah, that's all I got. I guess I'm rambling on this one. Again, if you all do want to learn how to do this on a professional level, Pat Mitchell at churchtrades.com. That's what you want to learn from. Check it out. Other than that, we'll be back to live trading next week and continuing on with one and done. Hope everyone enjoys their weekend, and we will catch you then. Later.